everybody, how's it going? Welcome back to my channel. If you don't know me already, I'm Amanda and I'm an exotic animal caretaker. And today I wanted to tell you about my visit to Doc Antle's and when me and my best friend Emily stayed in his house. This was a pretty wild experience, and I definitely want to bring you through the entire thing, but I do have something to say before we get started. And even before we get started into that, don't forget to like and subscribe. It helps out my channel so much and I really appreciate it. So I just wanted to mention that this was a few years ago. I think it was 2020 or 2021, somewhere in there. I'm just going to be talking about it as my experience. Like, I'm just going to tell you kind of what went on and what I was thinking at the time. And yeah, I realize that it's kind of a controversial thing. I know that a lot of different people have a lot of different opinions about it, and that's totally okay. Feel free to talk about it in the comments, but I'm just going to kind of reiterate my experience to you and tell you what it was like staying in Doc Antle's house. I remember him being on the phone for the first time.
Hello, Tigers.
Hi, it's Emily.
Hi, Emily. It's Doc.
And we were like sitting in the car. We hadn't even begun our trip yet. And just hearing his voice kind of like being like, oh my God, this is my first like real interaction with someone who's like famous, you know, like well known. So it was like shocking that he was actually on the other end of the phone. Basically, over the phone, he just confirmed with us everything, like, you know, we're saying is legit. We are who we are. We're not like there to just kind of rob the joint. And he told us that we could come down and stay in his guest house. And this is kind of like a bit of an extension off of his house, but it was still part of like the main house. We left Florida, we drove all the way up to North Carolina, and we were actually there kind of early. We were like overexcited, so we got a bit ahead of ourselves and got there a tiny bit early. So we decided we might as well just kind of like see a couple of the other animal things that are around, and also it give us something to like compare his zoo to like the aquariums and the zoos that we ended up going to and spending the day at. We went to one aquarium that was beautiful. Oh my God, it was just gorgeous. Then we also went to this other zoo, and I'm gonna be honest with you guys, this zoo wasn't overly pleasing to see. There were a lot of animals that just seemed like they needed more space, more enrichment. It definitely did give us that contrast when we got to Doc's. We got there at around 5. We went in the front gates. We were both like, there's no way like that this is happening right now. I took like a little Snapchat video of us just walking through. Right when we walked in there, I saw a guy walking his hyena, like on a freaking leash, walking his hyena around. If you know me, then you'd know like hyenas are my favorite animal ever. And to just see this guy walking around with one, oh my God, it was something like out of a fairy tale. Jalen ended up pulling up. He came up in like his golf cart. He introduced himself to us. He kind of introduced us to like some of the other people around. And he's like, oh, like Doc will be here soon. Don't worry. He'll come say hi. He's just like finishing off his tours and whatever. He's a busy guy, you know? Eventually, Doc did show up. It didn't take him very long, like 20 minutes, and he pulls up and he introduces himself to us. I'm like, at this point, not even sure what to say. I'm guaranteeing my face was like pure red because I was just like, no way, like, you know, these people don't seem real, and then all of a sudden you meet them and you're like, they're actually a person, like this is happening. This is like, I'm part of the TV show now, you know? We went in to the little, I don't know what they call it, like common area, like gift shop. They brought us in there. They had us do a photo shoot with a couple of their animals, a little chimp and a little white tiger. They brought in and they kind of laid right on top of us, took some pictures. Certain of their animals would come home and sleep with them. Like their chimps were like part of their family. Like they came home at night, they had dinner with them. They like slept with them. Like they were basically not even pets at that point, you know? They were like companions. After we visited the safari for the first time and we were kind of done with that photo shoot, he took us home to where the guest house was and he showed us everything. He's like, this is where you guys can stay, like, you know, here's the key basically. He's like, I gotta go back, but like feel free to, you know, go take a dip in the lake right there or whatever you want to do, just like, you know, make yourself at home.
We out here. Doc Antle's house.
Now, he did have one rule he told us, which was like the only rule. He said, you can do whatever you want, you can come and go, but the one rule is that when I bring my chimps home, stay off the front lawn. Okay? Like, just don't walk past the front lawn. Because, you know, when you have someone that walks in your front lawn and your dog, like, barks at them, and, you know, they're like, oh my god, like, intruder. So, apparently, chimps do the exact same thing. They protect their home, they protect their people. Anything else, though, he was like, I don't care. Do whatever you want. And it was something I found really neat that I didn't, unfortunately, get a chance to do, but, like, every couple days, Doc walks his elephant, Bubbles, down the road from his safari to his house, takes her out into the back, and lets her swim in the lake. And they, like, swim with her, and, you know, she washes herself, all that good elephant stuff. Emily got to swim with her. I, unfortunately, had to go home a couple days earlier, so I didn't get to. But just seeing him, like, walk around on top of that giant elephant, and, like, he would tell us stories about how he raised her in the house, like a dog, like, with his kids. Like, stuff that literally felt like it was out of fairy tales, that wasn't real. The next day, we were to go on the two safaris, the day one and the night one. He does those kind of like two, they're a bit separate experiences, so he was like, yeah, definitely go on both, see what it's all about. Now, the one thing that is a bit unfortunate for the YouTube video is we couldn't bring our cell phones along with us. I believe it's just so that they can like sell photos, because they take such amazing photos, and if you're with your phone all the time, you might be flashing it in animals' faces, which is like harmful, but also they definitely want to be able to sell those photos to you, right? So no, first thing they brought us in, there was like a big window right behind everybody, and they brought the liger out, and while we were all looking away from the window, they brought the big liger out behind us, and they were like, yeah, like, check it out, there's the liger. And we all turned around, and there's this ginormous cat just on the other side of the glass, drinking out of a baby bottle. They kind of gave us a show with the liger and then brought us outside with the liger, and we were sitting like maybe 5 to 10 feet away depending on where you were, and each one of us got to go and sit up beside him and take pictures with him. After the liger, they kind of brought us around the turn and they brought out a cheetah, and then we got a lesson about how there is a wild alligator living in the pond, and when we're going to our next place, watch out for the wild alligator, okay? Because they are wild. Heading to the next place, we went to like a gazebo, a really big gazebo, and they got everyone to sit down. Very like naturalistic. You didn't see any cages anywhere the entire time. So you're sitting down and they bring out tiger cubs. We had seen one the day before, so it wasn't my first time seeing a tiger cub, but they brought them out and they kind of had them on leashes just for safety, of course. And you got to play with them and pet them. They really actually enjoyed it. They were like running around, playing with toys, just being playful little cubs that they were. Then they brought them back in and brought out hyenas. Now, as I said before, hyenas are my absolute favorite. I literally cried for a couple minutes. And then, of course, I got some pictures, so, you know, I will remember that forever. So after we were done with them, I think they brought out some wolves. I can't actually remember if that was then or later, but we definitely saw wolves. I think they also brought out a lynx, which we got to take pictures with, and then they took us up above the buildings. So they kind of like had the one on one side and like one on the other, and they brought us up there and they had like a whole platter of food, and everyone on the safari is vegetarian. Doc is like, if I'm buying the food, I'm gonna be vegetarian. You can go and eat whatever you want wherever else, like to his staff, but he's like, but if you're eating the food that I'm like supplying you, it's gonna be vegetarian because I just don't want to be eating meat. So it was really good. And while we were eating and having our lunch, having our little drinks, they were running the tigers. So they were bringing out these massive tigers, and Doc created this little enrichment thing for them where it's like, you know those toys that the dogs chase, like with a little flag on a rope outside? It was kind of like that, and they started them far away and had them run through the water, and they chased this little rope all the way to the other side, and then they got a treat. A lot of the time, especially in captivity, tigers aren't running around chasing their food, right? So they wanted to create this to be sort of like a simulation for that, to make sure that they're using their muscles, that they're, you know, getting their exercise and their enrichment, which was pretty cool. I've never seen someone play with a tiger like that. The next place they brought us once we were done with the tigers was around this like foresty kind of turn, and we were all like in these booths, almost like just seated area, like at a movie theater, kind of like an outdoor movie theater. And around he comes Mr. Doc Antle with his big elephant Bubbles. and he teaches us a bit about her, he tells us a bit about elephants, and then of course we can all go down and we feed her a treat, and we can give her a hug and take some pictures. After we were done visiting Bubbles, it took us to the next seating area. Oh my gosh, they had like little steps along the way. And they brought out a couple more animals. A lemur, some chimps, orangutan. And again, all these animals were really bonded to their handlers. They trusted them, they'd try and jump back to them, they looked at them where they went. We got to watch Doc Antle, which is Doc Antle's son. He was swimming with tigers and chimps, and they put on like a whole dinner show for us with the animals. And they took them all swimming and like, again, exercise, enrichment, and it was really cool to watch. The final step, after our dinner, we went back to the main lodge, again, where everyone gets their pictures and their merch, because that's a good thing to have after. How are you supposed to know if you want the merch before you go, you know? So we got our photos printed, and then we went back home, Doc's house. We went back to Doc's guest house. We spent a couple hours because then we had to get ready for the nighttime safari. We were doing it all over again, the same night. So for the nighttime safari, they brought us to like a couple different places. This is where we went up, kind of in this like cabin type thing. It was like up above one of the tiger enclosures. They let out a bunch of tigers in there together, and we got to feed them while they gave us some information about them. They put out some different types of tigers, so as different types came out, they would like tell us a few facts about them. And then, yeah, of course, let us throw some meat down. Doc threw some meat down. I think that's the first time I ever fed a tiger, so that was pretty cool. Honestly, the food there was spectacular. They had a chef, and he knew his stuff, okay? Let me tell you that. Once we were done eating dinner, we went out into the like main campfire common area. They brought out a bunch of animals for us to like hang out with and take pictures with, like the baby tigers, owls, elephants. They brought out some larger tigers. They had wolves. We got to see parrots. They showed us birds at some point. I don't remember when that was, but at some point they had like a whole falconry show. Maybe that was in the morning. It's hard to remember timelines when you don't take like videos and you just have like pictures kind of everywhere. And to like tie it all off, to finish out that day, we had a big campfire with the chimps. Everyone was like just talking, you had your dessert, and you were sitting there like telling stories with chimps, basically. We also did meet some friends along the way, and that only made it like even more fun. We got to kind of exchange stories and be like, yeah, we met each other like 2 weeks ago, and we're visiting Doc Antle, staying in his house. After that, we headed back to Doc's. I had to go the next day, so that was about it for me. Again, Emily got some more experiences, so don't forget to check out her channel because she's going to be putting out some videos about this as well, and you're going to want to hear her side of it and her story. But when I tell you that this was something that I will remember forever, I mean it. And honestly, while we were there, everyone was so kind to us. So I had a really great experience. Of course, I understand there is always more to a story than I know or that I have experienced. So again, I totally understand. Everyone has their own opinions, everyone has their own judgments, and that's totally fine. But I just honestly wanted to tell you about like the story of exactly what you get when you go there, and just from like my personal experience, my first-hand experience, what it was like. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I absolutely have more coming, so stay tuned, hit that like and subscribe button, even turn on the notification thing if you want to, you know, surprise me. Like my videos first. Thank you for watching, and I can't wait to see you guys again next time. I really hope you enjoyed it. Bye.